Hello my friends, welcome to the start of another weekly reading vlog. Excuse you, I put those there purposefully so it didn't look so messy. Already we are off to a solid start because Josh and I had a very nice day today. We went over to his parents, we went swimming, and I got a little bit of reading done. This is not my TBR jar pick. I've actually already finished my TBR jar pick from my my owned shelf. I haven't started into my digital one yet, so we will work on that. But physically, what I'm reading right now is Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. This is the newest book from the author of the Well Met series, which I did really enjoy. I'm actually going to be doing a anticipated releases vlog including this one, so I won't talk about it too much. It's not going as great as I want it to be, honestly. It's cute, but I'm not really loving it. I like the setup of the story where we're following this woman who's recently moved to this town that is known for being like this haunted little coastal town in Florida. And so there's lots of like fun puns around death and ghosts and all that sort of stuff. And then her house is actually haunted and she's slowly trying to figure out how to live with the ghost that is there. So that's been entertaining, but the romance it's cute, but like it's not really moving in the way that I want it to be moving. And then audiobook wise, I've been listening to This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer. I believe this is the Full Moon Book Club pick for the month. I wanted to read it because it's horror and it has this really cool cover, but it is not going great. And I think that's mostly just because all of the characters are terrible in that way of like a horror story where you're kind of hoping everybody dies. And that might sound really morbid, but I feel like some of those definitely exist because everybody's just the worst. There's one dude that's kind of tolerable, and I do hope he survives. And then there's another woman, she's decent. The start of the book is like well after the fact, and we know none of them are getting out of it. I am a little nervous about the dog though. I wanted to try and get ahead on my little Buns and Roses TBR jar challenge that I've been doing. I'll put a link to my playlist up above if you don't know what I'm talking about. And I really wanted to get ahead of it, but I'm not. I'm once again behind. We love last minute planning. I can get an audiobook of this, which will definitely help me work through it. Finally, last book I did want to talk to y'all about is my digital pick for the month from my TBR jar. And that was Temptation of the Force by Tessa Groton, which obviously is my next Star Wars read. And I'm not super excited for this, honestly, because we've got Elzar Mann and Avar Kriss on the cover. And there's been this constant push and pull between these two. They used to have a little bit of a romance when they were younger. Elzar still has very strong feelings for Avar, but you know, they're not really supposed to act on those. Not a single author in this entire series thus far has convinced me of feelings between these two. If anything, I think Elzar is more like infatuated with the idea of Avar, but we actually haven't seen much of them interacting, so I don't feel convinced by any sort of a romance there. Meaning I'm really nervous about what's gonna happen here, so I'll probably just be annoyed at it. That's the start of this week. But on that note, Josh and I got back from his parents. We've been doing a little bit of cleaning, and I need to finish editing my video for tomorrow because I haven't done that. Hello my friends, happy Monday. It's been a long one. It has been a freaking day. Case in point, I still have my makeup on, but I'm wearing glasses, which is not particularly common for me. My contacts were just driving me insane today. I had a really hard time getting my eyes to focus, and so then one of my eyes was like overcompensating for the other, and I ended up getting a little bit of a headache. I had to go by the library to drop off This Wretched Valley this afternoon because it was due back and I couldn't recheck it out, meaning I listened to the rest of the audiobook for that one today, and it was a book that I've read. This wasn't really scary as far as a horror book goes, and I don't feel like there was any commentary going on. Nothing that I could really suss out, which is something I do tend to enjoy with my horror books, is like some sort of social commentary about something. And then I think the fact that all of the characters were really detestable, really unlikable, just made certain parts of the story feel like they were taking so much longer to develop because we were having to watch these characters go through this stuff. I will give it to the author that she does do setting very well. There was some really creepy, uncomfortable imagery that was going on when it came to the setting of this wretched valley. And then one of the kill scenes was like really well written. It was very gory, very creepy, but it felt like it took forever for the evil aspect of the plot to really be revealed. And then once it was, I personally didn't really enjoy how it was used. It wasn't really for me. It was a letdown, honestly, but at least I finished it. And then I did get a little bit more of Haunted Ever After read today. I'm currently just past the 200 mark, and at least we've had a bit of a development in the romance, like something new has taken place, and I am now a little bit more hopeful for where the story will continue on with, but I don't know if I'm gonna love how this ends. I'm already just like a little skeptical, a little nervous for how this will round out, unfortunately. Oh, also we gave Sam catnip for the first time, which was really entertaining. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Hope you had a good one. Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, today's Tuesday. So work was fairly slow today, which was really nice because I needed to listen to the audiobook of 10 Kisses to Scandal by Vivian Lorette. This did not happen today, and I will be taking no further questions about that. But instead, I did listen to the audio of The Rough Rider by 𝗖cie Yates. This was the next one I drew for my TBR jar for my Buns N' Roses Romance Tea TBR jar challenge. So I went with this one, which was a cowboy romance. And I've personally been avoiding cowboy romances, even though they're definitely having a hot moment right now, just because I went to high school with a lot of guys who were wannabe cowboys, and some that were actual cowboys. And so that's all I can picture. This actually started out pretty strong though. It was a marriage of convenience story in which the main character, Elena, unfortunately has gotten pregnant from a one-night stand, and she's really nervous because she lives in a very small town. She knows the view everybody's gonna have about her, and then she's also concerned about raising a child in a broken home because unfortunately she came from a broken home, and the issues with her father have definitely left a mark on her. But her childhood hero, kind of knight in shining armor, Gus, ends up volunteering to marry her, basically just be there, be a provider for her, but also kind of allow her to work on his farm by extension, gives her a little bit of freedom from her own family, and things kind of go from there. This is an age gap, which I'm not really a big fan of, and I wasn't really a big fan of how it was being handled here either. That's mostly just a personal thing. And then I didn't love that both of these characters got very possessive of one another really quickly. As far as the actual story was going, I was enjoying it. I really liked Gus as a hero character. He's got some scars, both mental and physical. The more we learn about him, the more I was really starting to enjoy him. He's always been the person to take care of everybody else, and so I really liked getting to see him having to let down those walls and her finally getting to take care of him. I thought that was very sweet. It had some really strong characterization going on in it, like comparable to Emily Henry, I think, honestly. But I still need to finish Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca tonight because I have my book club tomorrow night, and I have about exactly 100 pages left. No, that's right, there's an excerpt at the end. So no, I have more like 80 pages left. That's awesome, yay. We're starting to investigate more around the ghosts, which I am on board about, and then you can definitely tell this is going to be the start of a new companion novel series because there's been introductions to other couples that I totally see a budding romance between them. One is like childhood friends to lovers, and then the other is enemies or maybe like rivals to lovers going on there. So I'm intrigued to see if I'm correct about that, but that's what I'm predicting. As for where Nick and Cassie are gonna go, they've officially decided to start dating now, thank God, but they're also being like very take it as it comes about the situation and just like rolling with the punches. They're trying not to be too committed, and I have a feeling that's gonna blow up in their faces, possibly. Finally, the weather is supposed to be going back down tomorrow, which means I will get to go and get back on top of taking faith on you know what's, because it's been so freaking hot that I haven't even wanted to do it in the morning. Good morning. Hello. It's not morning. Hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday. I hope you had a good one. It was finally cool enough this morning that I could actually take Faith on a walk without like melting. So I got to start into the audiobook of Temptation of the Force by Tessa Grunton. Did I talk about this? I don't think so. Maybe a little. There already has been some interesting character stuff with 𝗖cie because he has been struggling with his relationship to the Force for some time now. He's really starting to give in to the darker urges, unfortunately, and is scared that he is going to fall to the dark side. Have really enjoyed seeing that and how he's struggling with those, how he's been trying to bring himself back from the brink and the little things he keeps finding that work for him. As far as the plot of the overall story so far, we're once again continuing to follow the Jedi as they are slowly entering into the occlusion zone and trying to help people, which is this sectioned off portion of space that has been claimed by the Nihil, our big bad at the time. And the head of the Nihil, Marchion Ro, he doesn't want to treat it like it's a government, like it's its own body, but that's kind of what they're sort of needing to do. And it's interesting how like he's trying to pull away from it, but also admitting to the fact it is beneficial for them. Then we're starting to see something that's interesting where he's interacting with his great-great-grandmother, Marta, who we got to see in the prior books in phase 1, which I do really like seeing that, but I'm not really sure how that's happening. Like, is he, you know, able to call upon her spirit, sort of like a Force ghost, which in that case would be very ironic because he hates the Jedi, or is he hallucinating her spirit tied to like something on his ship? Yeah, so this has been going decently well so far. I'm still nervous about the whole romance thing, but we'll see how that goes. Speaking of romance though, I did finish out Haunted Ever After today by Jen DeLuca. Josh had to go in to get a wisdom tooth extracted, and so I was his ride and I got to do a fair amount of reading while I was waiting for him. And I did officially finish this one out. I didn't love it. It's not a new favorite or anything. I wouldn't put this anywhere near well matched. It was cute enough, but I did like the ghost aspects of this a lot more. I think I talked about that previously, and that you can tell she's setting up a series, and I definitely think I would continue the series because I like the town that's been created here and the normality of the ghosts in this town, so that's been a lot of fun. Thankfully, the third act conflict was an external thing. It wasn't wrapped up in their relationship, but I wasn't super sold on the relationship, unfortunately. But at least I finished this so I can talk about it at book club tonight and give them an actual full understanding of my thoughts and my reading. Because of my Buns and Roses TBR jar, I basically always have to be reading one romance book, and as I'm getting closer to the actual event, which takes place on October 20th, I kind of have to step up. The next book I'm going to be starting into for my next draw was Forever Her Bachelor by Cecilia Renee, and this one is a historical. The little tagline at the top says, "Once they were friends, then they were more, now they are nothing." Ooh, like a childhood friends to lovers, maybe some second chance romance going on there. I'm into that. I believe it's independently published. 422 pages. So this is gonna take a little bit to read. Hopefully it won't drag too much. That would be really nice. We'll find out together though. So as I said, I have book club tonight. I am gonna go chomp down some food because I am starving. Hello my friends. The last time I talked to y'all, it was Wednesday before I went to book club. Well, hi, it's Friday night. So obviously I went to my brother's on Thursday as per usual. I actually had a very busy day. I got my hair done, so it's kind of hard to tell in this lighting, but I got my roots touched up and I got a nice little trim. I took off a little bit more than I had been, which is nice just because it's still been so hot. But anyway, back to Wednesday. I had a great book club, and then while I was at the library, I did pick up The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst, which is I think this one is the bloody read in Jan's Patreon Discord this month. I'm pretty sure. I don't actually know anything about it. Lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spell books, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. On Thursday, had work, got my hair done, went over to my brother's. I did manage to read a little bit of Forever I can't get the title out. Forever Her Bachelor by Cecilia Renee. So fun fact, I actually was the one to add this to Storygraph in English. Thus far, I am actually liking it. So we see at the start of the book when our two main characters are about 11 and they get to know one another because her kittens climb up a tree, but he has just moved in next door and is trying to make a friend and climbs up the tree to save them for her. Then we jump about 17 years in the future. We see that 𝗖cie, yes, 𝗖cie, not a particularly sexy name, has kind of made a ruin of his life. Not just him, his father also put him in a very poor position. And then since his father's passing, has officially become the Duke. He's basically done nothing but gamble a lot, and also searched for the solution to his sorrows at the bottom of a bottle. Apparently, we learned that he and Pippa were actually engaged. They were planning to marry each other. They'd been best friends for years, and then something happened. Now know that his father somehow got involved. His father did not like Pippa and did not want 𝗖cie to marry a woman he considered common, even though her family is also sort of in the higher class. Her parents both passed when she was a child, and she has since become a chemist to sort of hold on to those memories of them and has started making her own perfumes. We love a woman who is an entrepreneur. Unfortunately for Pippa, since this issue happened with 𝗖cie, she kind of has just been doing her best to take care of her aunt while her uncle was living in Paris with his mistress and blowing all of her aunt's money. But recently he has come back. She's trying to help her aunt, and so by extension has to help her uncle get out of the debt he's crawled his way down into. The solution is basically to marry her off to this other older, very rich Duke who needs an heir. And that guy's not great. But again, Peppa's a great main character for a historical when it comes to my taste. Fairly independent, she's got a good head on her shoulders. We've seen that she's trying to kind of make some of her own cash. She has this hobby that she really loves and has turned into a business. Plus, her friends that she has, one of them is actually a woman who trains other women in light self-defense to high society ladies. So I also really, once I learned that, I just immediately liked Pippa even more. She and 𝗖cie are still neighbors and things are very frigid between them. And we don't know what happened. We know something took place that ruined their engagement. And 𝗖cie is now desperately trying to find a wife because he needs to be married by his next birthday in order to get his inheritance. His dad's solicitor was kind of a douche and did not particularly like 𝗖cie, and so he hid that stipulation literally until he died, and his son was the one to point this out to 𝗖cie. Yikes. That's how this one's going. Like I said, I am 58 pages in, and that's all that's been revealed to us. So I'm in for the ride. This sounds like a messy good time, but it's also second chance, and I do enjoy a good second chance. I'm all over this. On the opposite side, I also read some more into Temptation of the Force. I'm at 160 pages into this one. Just at the part I stopped at, we were seeing more of Elzar and Avar interacting. It's interesting because Grotton's actually, they're not playing this the way I expected. I'll put it that way. Like, there's still this mention of romantic pass between these two characters that, again, I've not been convinced by. I don't feel like they love each other. For 𝗖ญ่in prior books, I have felt a serious infatuation with Avar, and then ironically in this book, I wouldn't call it an infatuation, but it almost feels like Avar likes that 𝗖ญ่is so invested in her, and now that he's not, he's really trying to focus on his identity as a Jedi and actually trying to move up in the order, and Avar's finally starting to like acknowledge this relationship they've had, bringing it to the surface, trying to see how their destinies can be intertwined. If she continues down that route, I think I might like this a little bit more. We've seen more of the characters from the last YA novel, which I found really interesting because the prior adult book I felt didn't progress the plot at all. But the last YA book actually did. It set up a lot of stuff for the plot to finally move forward, and I really like that this is utilizing those aspects from the YA book to finally give us some momentum. So with that, we've seen more of 𝗖ญ่Graf, who's this really snobby rich guy. Unfortunately, is very, very smart and has basically funded a lot of the research behind this space wall that the bad guys are using to mark off their territory. And then on the opposite side, we actually know his husband, who has been utilizing 𝗖Än's knowledge to try and help the Republic get into the space wall. And like some very anxiety-inducing things are happening because of those two. And so I do really like seeing that. Again, not really a romantic relationship. I love the way their characters have been used in the story is just so good. So thankfully this is going much better than I was thinking it would, at least so far. So then today, obviously it's Friday, I had work. Thankfully it was relatively chill, and then I hung out with my niece this afternoon, which was really fun. She came over, we ordered some pizza. I forced her to watch Picture This, the movie with Ashley Tisdale that I really enjoyed as a kid. It's so ridiculous, but it was a fun time. And then she made Josh and I watch the new Mean Girls, which is a musical, and I'll admit it was better than I was expecting. There's a lot of callbacks to the original that I greatly appreciated, especially since I've seen that movie a million times, can quote it backwards and forwards.
That is so fetch.
And then I think the highlight of the movie though was Damien and Janice. I really like the modernizations to their characters, and both of those actors killed the roles and made it their own. So we just got back from taking her home. Gonna be lazy. I'm going to read a little bit more into Forever Her Bachelor tonight. Hey guys, so technically it's Sunday, but I do need to round out my reading vlog for last week. Josh and I had a really nice Saturday. We ended up running to the mall because he needed to pick up some new headphones he had pre-ordered. We swung by Barnes & Noble because they were doing their 50% off hardcover sale. Whilst they were doing that, it was very limited selection and I didn't really see anything. Plus I'm on a book buying ban anyway, so it's probably a good thing I didn't order anything. However, I did see that they had the new Barnes & Noble edition of Brother Song by TJ Klune out, which is the final book in the Green Creek series. So I did get that. I didn't add it to my TBR, so I'm saying it didn't count for my book buying ban because really the focus of that is adding books that I haven't read. I've already read that series technically. I'm just collecting the new editions. So it doesn't count, it's fine. We also had some delicious sushi at the Conveyor sushi restaurant we really like going to, and then we came home, I made a delicious dinner, and we just kind of lounged around for the rest of the night. But I did get some reading done. While I was making dinner, I ended up reading some more into Temptation of the Force by Tessa Groton. I actually surpassed the halfway point accidentally. I'm gonna be filming that halfway update here in a moment. And I think this is actually going so much better than I was expecting, and I'm really glad for it. I talked about before how the relationship between 𝗖ญ่and Avar is being presented kind of changed my perception on how this relationship is being used in the story. It's less of like a romance that I need to be convinced by, and more like a hindrance to each of their abilities to progress forward as Jedi and as people that, you know, aren't supposed to have romantic entanglements. Then the plot, we're finally getting some like actual really good progress going forward, going against the Nihil. We're having some fun action sequences, which is why I got really into the story and didn't realize I'd surpassed the halfway point, so I was all over that. There's this fantastic battle going on between these two characters who we've seen battle out a few times now. They have quite a history. So much freaking fun. Watching that unfold is great. So this is going very well. Plus, last night I also read a little bit further into Forever Her Bachelor, and I'm really liking this actually. The way drama is being done here is so entertaining, and I think the fact that 𝗖cie is so insanely gone for Pippa makes me really like him as a hero character. He is enamored with her. He is desperate to get her back, and now they're both coming to realize that the solution to each of their problems is each other. That's literally the final thing that happened when I stopped. So I can't wait to continue on with this. This is actually going so well. So yes, overall a fairly decent weekly reading vlog. I think I got 2 books fully read and then a fair amount into 2 other books. So all in all, pretty solid. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, y'all. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a dinosaur emoji for our little buddy Rowan in the comments down below. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!